So here we are at Plainsman in the backyard part. Plainsman has been making clay in this area for about 50 years. I've been buying it for about 40 years, and Tim here has been here for
35 years.
35, and he can tell us a lot more what's going on back here than I can.
Okay. Basically what you see here is our raw materials, and these are the raw clays that we bring in from our clay deposits based in southwestern Saskatchewan, Manitoba and Montana. We mine our own clay in these quarries, stockpile it, and then haul it in during the summer months. These clays are then blended together to make stoneware clay bodies, which we manufacture here at our facility in Medicine Hat. You can see some reds. The red ones are high iron, Manitoba and Montana. The white bodies are primarily Saskatchewan-based materials. These bins are our covered storage bins, and this is the yard in where we blend our clays to make our mixes. You can see the bins. We've got materials that have been put in dryers to eliminate some of the moisture content and are kept stored until they're ready to be blended. The blends are made or mixed with a loader that you can see in the corner of the plat there from a mixed ticket measured out in level buckets, 2,000-pound buckets. Once the yard is scraped and cleaned, we just blend these raw materials together to make a consistent mix and then put them into the bins, basically ready for grinding. One of the clays, you can see M340 in one of the bins. That is a blended raw material, or the raw materials are blended, ready to be ground. That mixture might consist of about 5,000 to 10,000 boxes ready for processing. We have 2 dryers at the end of each yard that are natural gas that we put the clays in to take the moisture content down to a percentage that works well with the grinding process. Once the clay's been blended with the front end loader, we put it into a feeder system outside, which brings it into the grinding facility. From there, it goes onto conveyors and through a hammer mill. The hammer mill pulverizes the clay into finer particle sizes, which then feeds over a rotating screen. The fine particles that get ground fine enough drop through these screens onto a conveyor, which takes it to a hopper system, then feeds the Pug Mill. The coarse screenings vibrate off the screen, drop down onto the conveyor, and run back through the hammer mill. So it's a continuous grinding process to get the particle size down to the fines that we need. This is our production room where the clay is extruded. The cartons come in flat. We pre-tape the cartons upside down with the clay code that we're producing and a code number for our database reference. So each box of clay has a code that we can look up and track with respect to the properties of that particular clay body. Once the clay had been ground and goes into the hopper system, it is then fed into the Pug Mill. They control the amount of water going in and the speed of the feed of the dry mix. This is a de-airing Pug Mill. As the clay is extruded through the shaft of the Pug Mill or through the hopper of the Pug Mill, it then is fed into a vacuum chamber where it gets de-aired. So this portion of the Pug Mill is all under vacuum, so the clay has better workability, kneads together better. And from that point it is extruded through where they do the packaging. The one wheel is basically designed, we put on for the length of the slug to get the proper weight. And the other wheel is a sort of a guideline with respect to the moisture. It does not take a moisture reading, it's just a guide. As the clay would happen to soften up, the wheel would sink in the clay a little further, or as it stiffens, it would go up. But we do extensive moisture content tests throughout the run by cutting a piece of clay off, putting it under a heat lamp, drying it out, and measuring the exact moisture that's in the clay. The slugs are cut off, put in a plastic bag, of course, wrapped, and then dropped into the box. On average, our runs will consist from 300 boxes of one clay up to 3,000 boxes of another clay body. We can produce anywhere from 400 to 800 boxes a day of moist pug clay and packaged. This is our studio facility in which we do our testing. Each production run that we produce, a slug of clay is brought into the studio and goes through a set of evaluation and tests: drying, shrinkage, absorption, sieve analysis of the raw materials, and a set of range of bars is basically made up on each one. Those tests are all logged. Based on this number here, we can punch this in our computer system. We can look up this particular clay was run at this time and have all our test data with respect to the results we have found prior to sending any of this clay out. If opportunity arises, our technicians, rather than just go through a range of making bars and screens and sieve analysis and drying tests, they actually make pottery out of it for testing the stiffness of the clay, the throwability, and so forth. So any of the works you see here are basically done by our technicians for part of the evaluation process of the clay. Here's the set of bars range. Again, for every production run, we make this set of bars and tests. We do have one gas kiln and 4 electric kilns that we do oxidation and reduction firings for these purposes. This is basically where we store our finished clay products. On average, we maintain about 15,000 boxes of clay inventory of our manufactured products. It's a separate building from our manufacturing facility. This particular building is I guess, part of the Medalta Historical Society that we just rent the warehousing portion of it. This whole area includes 3 different buildings that are designated historical sites. The original Medalta facility down the road where Medalta Potteries was. Located to this building here is the Highcroft China that manufactured dishes for the hotel industry. And then just recently is the IXL brick plant.
Okay, back in the studio today, what's going to happen is the process starts over. I've got the clay, I do the pugging, I do the throwing, I do the trimming, it goes to the drying, through the whole process again. From the pug to the pot, no trouble. Anyway, it'll be a day.